Welcome to the JAMODI podcast, where we interview coaches and leaders to find out not just what they do, but how they do what they do. Becoming the best version of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. Let's take a little change in direction. You know, at my school, we really emphasize shooting the ball. It's a big part of our offensive philosophy, but then it's a big part of our daily practice. I love getting to hear. It's like handwriting. Different, there's different ways of handwriting. You just got to be able to read it, and so I love hearing people's philosophy. And how do you teach shooting in your program?
Well, number one, I evaluate first. They might be too old. They might not have great form, but it's productive. So I evaluate who it is and why they need to change. And once I make that decision, I get them by themselves. So if I'm working out a team consistently or a group of 4 to 6 players, you can't work on shooting then. You can get reps. But, to me, working on shooting is one-on-one, and you just iron out the wrinkles in their mechanics. And so I have about 15 vitamins, if you will, drills. Some of them I've added recently because of my experience and time with Ray Allen. Most of them, it's been my journey in basketball as a player. I was an ambidextrous player.
I've noticed that. You're probably the only person I've ever seen shooting from distance with their left hand, but but it looks good.
Yeah. Now I broke my hand, had an injury in my right hand when I was 12, 3-4 months. I just started working out with my left in my backyard and got the cast off, and it kind of transformed into that. And so, in the game, we're going to do a 21-year anniversary. And so they're going to put out some footage of me playing in high school and college. And you could see that left side of the court, left hand going right, pulling up right. It's pretty unique.
Yeah.
But, through that, authenticity, obviously I get players' attention. And, so I've gone through the process of teaching myself how to shoot with both hands. So I have some vitamin drills that I put players through. I watch them. We break down the stance, the catch, the release, and just kind of fine tune it from there. And then, once I give them workout sheets, so I write specific notes, like a doctor, I give them prescriptions, customized for them. I film them. And then it's repetition. Repetition is the mother of success. Grit is the father of success. So grit is consistency, doing it when you don't feel like it. And repetition is the right way. Every possession, every rep. So it's just that. And getting them, and then, once they get the form and they're productive in practice, then it's the mental side, man. It's all right, trust your work, do it in the game. Do it under pressure. Do it when you're frustrated. Make shots when you're tired. Make shots when you're in pain. Make shots against good players. Make shots when your coach is yelling at you. It's that shooting it with tremendous anxiety and stress. And that's where players struggle. That's, to me, a lot of shooting problems comes from the neck up.
Yes.
Because players don't know how to handle stress and anxiety.
One thing I think I remember watching a video of you talking about 10 toes to the rim, and then like everything out there, like even our faith, there's some non-negotiables, but then there's some things that are, people discuss and have different opinions on, right? With your feet, what are you still 10 toes? And what's your thought process? I personally feel like that's comfortable for me when I played, but where are you at now with that?
Well, yeah, I mean, 10 toes is negotiable. It's just the standard. I still tell the players, get 10 toes to the rim, and they're never going to do it perfect. They're never going to be 10 toes, because if you actually get 10 toes, then if you're right-handed shooter, your right hand is. So I tell them 10 toes because actually, as they do it, they get 5.
Okay.
So if they're right-handed, I just tell them 10 toes to the rim, get your right foot, right knee, right hip, right shoulder as squared up to the rim as you can. And that's all you need. I'm not a stickler on exactly 10 toes. It's just the standard. It's just the compass. And by me, because in my experience, if I tell them, hey, square up your right foot or your knee, then they're almost pointed away from the basket. Now, some players, a Kevin Durant or a Steph Curry can shoot where their shoulders are not actually square to the basket. But guess what? Their release is clean. Their elbow is up. Their arc. Two most important things on a jump shot is arc and alignment. And the bottom line is, if you get your elbow at the rim, pointed at the rim, you're going to shoot it straight. It's just if you get the other part of your shoulder, your hips, your knees, your foot squared up, you're going to be a lot more stronger. And a lot of these NBA players are so strong.
Yeah.
Their core is so tight that they could be facing almost 45-degree angle away from the rim, but their elbows, Jordan used to pull up as quick as he could on a dime, Kobe, and he'd be like fading, but his elbow was always at the rim. And so you gotta think there's some things that the NBA players and WNBA players do that you can teach, but you gotta have the discernment and the common sense of some of the things that they do you can't teach. Like you can't teach the way Steph Curry dribbles and moves and shoots the ball to freshmen and sophomores, even college kids. You just can't do that. So you got to have a sense. And so as long as they're square, they're left-handed, as long as their knee and their foot and their hip is square, they don't have to have 10 toes. But that's the soundbite. That's the soundbite because there's always some slippage,
Yeah, the outliers of the game, those dudes that are just they're just so far beyond what is what you can replicate and the skill that they have. It's tough to tell kids to compare themselves to that. But if there was a shooter in the league right now that you would say, hey, watch him, mimic his movements, and try to do what he does, who would that be?
Well, he's not in the league anymore. I would say Steve Nash.
Okay.
But again, I don't study the NBA as close as some of these other coaches, but my answer would be JJ Redick.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.